The deep space vessel, Pathfinder, drifted silently at the edge of our solar system. The ship's engines hummed quietly as Captain Eric Young stared at the main view screen. He rubbed his tired eyes and took another sip of coffee from his metal mug. Anything on sensors? He asked. Navigation Officer Paul Miller shook his head. Nothing unusual, sir. Just the normal background radiation, and he stopped suddenly, his eyes widening as he looked down at his console. Wait, I'm picking up something big, really big. Captain Young set down his coffee. Show me. The main screen changed to show a massive ship appearing from what looked like a tier in space itself. The vessel was unlike anything humans had ever built. It had smooth curves that seemed to flow like liquid metal, with glowing blue lines running along its hull. It was at least 5 times the size of the Pathfinder. Are they scanning us? Young asked. Communications Officer Lindsay Carter nodded. Yes, sir. They're running some kind of deep scan. Our systems can't block it. Young frowned. Weapon status? All systems ready, replied Security Chief Gregory Martinez. But sir, if that thing decides to attack us? Young understood the unspoken concern. The Pathfinder was an exploration vessel with basic defense systems. It wasn't built for combat against unknown alien technology. Open a channel, Young ordered. Let's try talking first. Before Carter could comply, the main screen flickered and changed. A being appeared on screen. It had scaled skin that shimmered with colors that shifted as it moved. Its eyes were large and completely black, set in a face that looked almost like a mix between a lizard and a cat. Greetings, human vessel, the alien said in perfect English. I am Supreme War Master Extril of the Zethian Empire, member of the Galactic Concordat. We have been monitoring your species' development for some time. Young straightened his uniform and stepped forward. This is Captain Eric Young of the Earth vessel Pathfinder. We come in peace and seek friendly contact. The alien made what might have been a smile, showing rows of small, sharp teeth. Yes, all species say that upon first contact. But the Concordat has existed for 12,000 years, and we have learned that true character is revealed not through words, but through honorable combat. Young blinked in surprise. Combat? We haven't come here to fight. Of course you have, War Master Extril replied, as if explaining something obvious to a child. All intelligent species must be tested before joining the Concordat. We will engage in formal combat according to the sacred protocols. It is the only way to assess your worthiness. The bridge crew exchanged worried glances. Young kept his face calm despite his racing thoughts. Perhaps you could explain these protocols? He asked. The alien seemed pleased by the question. The Concordat war protocols are the foundation of civilized space. All combat must be declared formally. Forces must be symmetrical. Weapons must be standardized. There is a proper time to attack and a proper time to defend. Extril made a gesture with his clawed hand. We will now begin the ceremony of positioning. Please move your vessel to coordinates we are transmitting, Young nodded politely. We'll need a moment to review your transmission. As soon as the screen went dark, Young turned to his crew. Send all this data back to Earth immediately. Priority channel. Sir, Martinez said quietly, they're positioning their ship at exactly 10,000 kilometers from us. They're powering up what look like weapon systems, but in a very specific sequence. It's like they're following a script. Young had served in Earth's third resource war. He had seen combat in the asteroid belt. He knew that in real battle you never gave your enemy time to prepare. Are they raising shields? He asked. Martinez checked his readings. Not yet. It looks like they're running some kind of pre-combat ritual. Their shields are still powering up. Young made his decision. Target their main power systems and weapons. Fire everything we have. Carter looked shocked. Sir, shouldn't we wait for instructions from command? If we wait, we might not live to get those instructions, Young replied firmly. Fire. The Pathfinder's railguns launched their payloads. Missiles streaked through space. The energy beams from their main cannons followed seconds later, on the view screen. They watched as their attack hit the alien vessel. The Zethian ship, with its shields still powering up according to whatever protocol they followed, took direct hits to critical systems. Explosions bloomed across its beautiful hull. The glowing blue lines flickered and went dark. "They're trying to hail us," Carter said, her voice shaking slightly. On screen, Young ordered, War Master Extrill appeared again, but now his command center was filled with smoke and flashing emergency lights. His scaled skin had lost its shimmer, turning a dull gray. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded, his voice a mix of pain and confusion. "The ceremonial exchange of first volleys has not yet begun. The combat drums have not sounded. This violates all protocols." Young leaned forward. "Where I come from, War Master, we don't have combat drums. We have a saying instead, never start a fight, but always finish it." The transmission cut off as another explosion rocked the alien vessel. The bridge crew watched in silence as the once magnificent ship broke apart, secondary explosions tearing through its sections. "Scan for life pods," Young ordered. "If they launch any, we'll pick up survivors," Martinez nodded. "Sir, I'm not detecting any life pod launches. I don't think they ... I don't think they expected to need them." The weight of what had just happened settled over the bridge. They had just engaged in humanity's first contact with an alien civilization, and it had ended in battle. "Send a message to command," Young told Carter as debris from the alien vessel drifted past their view screen. "Tell them we've made first contact with an alien species calling themselves the Zethian Empire, part of something called the Galactic Concordat. They initiated what they called a combat test, following formal protocols." He paused. "And tell them we might have just started a war by not playing by their rules." Carter nodded grimly and began transmitting the message. As Young stared at the floating remnants of the alien ship, he couldn't help but wonder what kind of galaxy they had just introduced themselves to, and what would happen when the rest of this Concordat learned that humans didn't fight according to anyone's rules but their own. Supreme Admiral Grell paced the floor of the Concordat High Command Center. His forelegs moved in perfect rhythm as his upper body remained perfectly still, a sign of his military discipline. The large chamber was filled with the soft glow of holographic displays showing star systems, fleet positions, and battle reports. "Play the recording again," he ordered. The central display showed the final moments of War Master Extrill's ship. The human vessel fired without warning, without proper positioning, without the ceremonial exchange of opening volleys. The Supreme Admiral had watched it 50 times already, but he still could not understand it. "It makes no sense," said his strategic advisor, Theolox, a tall being with translucent skin through which complex patterns of light pulsed with his emotions. Right now, those patterns showed deep confusion. Why would they attack before the combat drums had sounded? Why would they target power systems first instead of engaging with the forward weapon arrays as protocol demands? Grell's upper eyes blinked rapidly while his lower ones remained fixed on the display. "Are we certain this recording is authentic? Could it have been damaged in transmission?" "We have verified it through 3 separate quantum channels," replied Theolox. "This is exactly what happened. The humans violated every single combat protocol in the Concordat War Manual. For 12,000 years, the Galactic Concordat had conducted warfare according to strict rules. Combat was a formal affair with proper declarations, symmetrical forces, and standardized weapons. War was a test of tactical prowess rather than technological superiority or surprise. It was civilized. It was honorable. What the humans had done was neither. "How many ships have we lost so far?" Grell asked. A data officer named Zix consulted. "Her terminal, 17 battle cruisers, Admiral. All destroyed in similar fashion. The humans wait until our ships begin the positioning ceremony, then attack before our shields are fully powered. They target command centers and power cores rather than engaging our forward combat sections." Grell made a sound that his species used to express deep distress. "And our ground forces?" "Worse, sir," Zix replied. "The humans refuse to meet our armies on the designated battle planes. They attack at night. They hide in terrain features. They use different types of weapons. In the same battle, Some of their soldiers wear different uniforms or no uniforms at all. They target our ceremonial command tents first. It's chaos, Theolox added. Our troops don't know how to respond. They've never trained for this kind of dishonorable combat. Lieutenant. Vex hurried into the command center, his normally blue skin flushed purple with exertion. Admiral, urgent news from the diplomatic corps. The humans have agreed to attend an emergency peace conference. For the first time in days, Grell felt hope. Perhaps these humans could be reasoned with. Perhaps they simply didn't understand the proper way to conduct warfare. 3 days later, Grell watched in growing horror as the human delegation reviewed. The Concordat's war protocols, a document 15,000 pages long that detailed proper battlefield etiquette down to the correct angle at which to aim weapons during the opening volley. The lead human, Ambassador Richard Wilson, a stocky male with graying hair, had actually laughed when presented with the protocols. "You're telling me," he said through the translator, "that you announce your attacks in advance? That you position your ships at exact distances from each other before firing? That you have designated areas for battles?" "Of course," replied the Concordat's chief diplomat, Quill. "How else would one conduct honorable combat?" Wilson exchanged glances with his team. "Where I come from, the goal of combat isn't to be honorable. It's to win." The peace conference had collapsed shortly after. The humans refused to agree to follow the protocols in future engagements, claiming it would be suicide to fight that way. Now, a week later, Admiral Grell faced a difficult decision. The Concordat Council was divided. Some wanted to continue fighting the humans according to protocol, hoping the humans would eventually learn proper combat etiquette. Others suggested trying to adapt to the human style of warfare, a radical proposal that many saw as an abandonment of 12 millennia of tradition. "Admiral," Lieutenant Vex interrupted Grell's thoughts, "we've detected human ships approaching Outpost Gamma 9. Grell moved quickly to the tactical display. "Are they in the standard approach formation?" "No, sir," Vex replied, his voice filled with confusion. They're spread out randomly. Some are powering weapons while others remain dark. Some are moving fast, others slow. They're taking different approach vectors." "This violates all combat doctrine," Theolox said, the lights under his skin pulsing rapidly with distress. Grell felt a cold sensation spread through his body. "They're not fighting fair." "No, sir," Vex confirmed. "And our forces don't know how to respond should they begin the positioning ceremony anyway? Should they wait for the humans to get into proper formation?" Grell made the hardest decision of his long military career. "Tell Commander Ixtal to forget the protocols. Tell him to raise shields immediately and fire as soon as the human ships are in range." The command center fell silent. What the Admiral had just ordered was unprecedented in Concordat history. "Sir," Theolox said quietly, "that's not how we fight." "I know," Grell replied, "but it's how we must fight now, if we are to survive contact with humans." He turned to address the entire command staff. "Send word to all fleet commanders. We must learn these human tactics. We must study them. We must adapt." As the staff hurried to carry out his orders, Grell returned to studying the recordings of human attacks. He had a disturbing feeling that the Concordat's comfortable, predictable way of war was about to change forever. On the main display, the image of a human ship firing on an unprepared Concordat vessel played again. Grell watched carefully, trying to understand the mind of an enemy that would choose victory over honor. "They fight without rules?" he murmured. "How do you defeat an enemy that doesn't play fair?" The answer, he feared, was that you had to become like them, and that thought terrified him more than any human weapon. 6 months into what humans called the First Contact War, General Samantha Boyd stood before the United Earth Defense Council. The large meeting room was filled with military officers and civilian leaders, all watching as she presented the latest battle reports on the large screen behind her. Boyd was a tall woman with short gray hair and sharp eyes that had seen too many battlefields. She pointed to a holographic display showing recent combat encounters with Concordat forces. The aliens are adapting, she explained. They're beginning to understand our tactics. They're learning to fight dirty. Council member Alan Franklin, an older man with dark skin and a neatly trimmed beard, leaned forward. I thought the report said they were unable to fight without their ritual behaviors. Something about their evolution making them dependent on combat protocols. Not unable, Boyd corrected. Just severely disadvantaged. Their species evolved with formalized combat rituals as a way to limit casualties while still resolving conflicts. After thousands of years following these patterns, fighting without protocols goes against their instincts. She swiped to a new display, but they're adapting faster than we expected. Some of their commanders are now launching surprise attacks. Their ground forces are using cover and terrain. They're targeting our command structures first, just like we do to them. Defense Secretary Diane Peters frowned. How successful are they at copying our methods? Boyd brought up video footage from a recent battle. It showed Concordat troops using Earth-like tactics, hiding behind rocks and trees rather than standing in their usual ceremonial formations. They're still clumsy at it, Boyd explained. They hesitate. Their movements are unnatural, like they're fighting against their own instincts, but they're improving with each engagement. Do we have a clear advantage still? Asked President. William Howard. Boyd nodded. For now, yes. We have an important edge. They're learning these tactics from scratch. We've been perfecting them for thousands of years. She paused. But there's something else you should know. The Concordat consists of 17 different species, each with different physical capabilities. Some can see in the dark better than we can, some are naturally armored. Some can move faster than any human. If they successfully adapt our tactical flexibility to their natural advantages. The room fell silent as everyone understood the implication. So what do you propose, General? The President finally asked. Boyd straightened her uniform. Operation. Checkmate, sir. A coordinated strike on multiple fronts designed to end this war quickly before they can fully adapt. She outlined the operation in detail. Instead of continuing the current pattern of engagement, human forces would execute a series of feints and withdrawals, making it appear as if Earth's military was weakening. This would draw Concordat forces into positions where a hidden fleet could strike their supply lines and manufacturing centers. We don't just target their military, Boyd explained. We target their ability to make war. Some council members looked uncomfortable with this approach. This seems stream, said Franklin. Attacking civilian infrastructure, not civilian targets, Boyd clarified. Military production facilities, supply depots, shipyards building, warships, all legitimate military targets under our laws of war. She looked around the room. The Concordat doesn't understand this concept. In their ritualized warfare, they never target anything but opposing military forces on designated battlefields. They don't understand strategic warfare yet. But they're learning. President Howard stood up. If we don't end this war quickly, more lives will be lost on both sides. Implement Operation Checkmate, General? 2 weeks later, Captain Frank Russell sat in the command chair of the stealth cruiser, Shadowhawk, watching as his ship and 40 others moved silently through space, their advanced stealth systems making them nearly invisible to Concordat sensors. All ships report ready, Captain, said his executive officer, Commander Kelly Wong. Russell nodded. Begin Phase 1. Across 3 star systems, human forces began falling back from their positions, apparently retreating in disarray. Concordat commanders, growing more confident in their adapted tactics, pursued eagerly. The main Concordat fleet has moved to intercept our retreating Third Fleet, Wong reported. Their formation is still too rigid, but they've definitely improved their tactical approach. They're keeping some ships in reserve and using advanced scouts. Russell allowed himself a small smile, but they've taken the bait. Their attention is entirely on our visible forces. He turned to his communications. Officer, signal the rest of the stealth fleet execute Phase 2. While the Concordat focused on what they thought was a major human retreat, Russell's stealth fleet slipped past their main forces and headed for targets deeper in Concordat space. Over. The next 3 days, human ships appeared seemingly out of nowhere at shipyards, weapons factories, fuel processing stations, and military supply depots across Concordat territory. By the time defense forces could respond, the damage was done, and the human ships had vanished again. On the fourth day, Admiral Grell of the Concordat Defense Fleet received the damage reports with growing horror. 47 shipyards destroyed. 32 weapons factories neutralized. 65% of our fuel processing capability gone. His advisor Theolox Eskin had turned almost completely transparent with shock. "Sir, this isn't war as we understand it. They're not targeting our military directly." "No," Grell said. Quietly, "they're targeting our ability to make war." For the first time, he truly began to understand how humans thought about conflict. "Prepare a message for the Concordat High Council. We need to sue for peace immediately." Back on Earth, General Boyd received the news of the Concordat's peace offer with a mix of relief and pride. "They've requested a formal peace conference," she told the Defense Council. "Their message indicates they're willing to discuss terms without preconditions." President Howard nodded. "And Operation Checkmate? Completely successful, sir. Minimal casualties on both sides compared to what would have happened with continued direct engagement. The Concordat's war-making capability has been reduced by approximately 70%. They now understand they cannot win not against an enemy who refuses to fight according to their rules." "Then let's meet them at the conference table," the president said, "but we should be prepared. They've learned a lot about how we fight." "What do you think they've taken away from this conflict, General?" Boyd's expression grew serious. "They've learned that humans don't play fair in battle, sir, and that's a lesson the galaxy won't soon forget." Admiral Extrill, no relation to the first War Master who had encountered humans, stood on the bridge of his command ship. Unlike his unfortunate namesake, this Extrill had survived multiple engagements with human forces. His once bright scales were now dull in places where scars had healed, and one of his 4 arms ended in a mechanical replacement. Each injury was a lesson learned about human warfare. He watched the main tactical display with growing unease. Across 3 different star systems, human forces were withdrawing simultaneously. Their ships were leaving defensive positions, abandoning outposts, and pulling back from the front lines. "A great victory approaches," declared his second-in-command. Extra, a younger officer who had risen quickly through the ranks by being one of the first to embrace the new combat methods. "Our adaptation to human tactics is working. They flee before our might." Extrill wasn't convinced. After studying humans for months and losing 2 ships under his command to their unpredictable strategies, he had developed a disturbing suspicion. Humans didn't just fight without honor, they had turned deception itself into a weapon. "Order all ships to maintain current positions," Extrill said. Extra's head frills rose in surprise. "But Admiral, the humans are retreating. We should pursue and destroy them while they're vulnerable." "Are they truly retreating?" Extrill asked, quietly. "Or is this what humans call a trap?" He pointed to the tactical display. "Notice how orderly their withdrawal is. When we've genuinely damaged human forces in the past, their retreats were chaotic. This is too perfect." He enlarged one section of the map. "And here, why would they leave this mining outpost with minimal defense when it's strategically valuable? They want us to commit our forces." Extra's frills flattened in embarrassment. "What are your orders, Admiral?" "Have our scout ships follow the human forces, but keep our main battle groups in defensive positions." Extrill's 4 eyes narrowed. "And send stealth probes to scan behind our lines. If I were a human commander, I would use this apparent retreat to distract us from something else." His suspicions proved correct. Just hours later, the stealth probes detected unusual energy signatures deep within Concordat space. Small human vessels had somehow slipped past their defense lines while the main Concordat fleet was distracted by the apparent human retreat. "Multiple targets detected," reported the sensor officer. "Human ships are appearing near the Zethra shipyards, the Krell munitions depot, and the Vaxxer fuel processing center." Extrill felt his scales tighten against his body, a natural reaction to danger. "They're not targeting our military," he realized with shock. They're targeting our ability to make war. He immediately sent warnings to all Concordat defense forces, but it was too late for many facilities. The humans struck with precision and speed, destroying or severely damaging key infrastructure before disappearing again. Over the next 3 days, reports flooded in from across Concordat space. Dozens of shipyards burned. Munitions factories were destroyed. Fuel processing centers exploded. Supply chains were shattered. The Concordat High Council called an emergency session, which Extril attended via secure communication channel from his ship. How did they penetrate our defenses? Demanded High Counselor Vex, her crystalline form glittering with agitation. They used our own training against us, Extril explained. While we learned to fight like humans on the battlefield, they were studying our larger strategies. They knew we would focus on their main forces, so they sent smaller, stealthier ships to attack targets we didn't adequately protect. But attacking manufacturing centers and supply depots instead of military targets, it's dishonorable, protested another counselor. Extril had once thought the same way, but his time fighting humans had changed him. Humans don't see war the way we do, he said. To them, honor is irrelevant. Victory is all that matters, and they define victory as ending the conflict as quickly as possible with minimal losses to their side. How can we fight an enemy that doesn't follow any rules? Asked High Counselor Vex. We can't, Extril said simply. Not without becoming like them. And even then, they have thousands of years of experience fighting this way. We have months. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. For 12,000 years, the Concordat had managed conflict through ritualized warfare with predictable outcomes and limited casualties. Humans had shattered that system in less than a year. We must seek peace, Extril continued, and we must do so quickly before they destroy more of our infrastructure. The council voted unanimously to send a peace delegation to meet with human representatives. As the session ended, High Counselor Vex asked Extril to remain on the channel. You've studied these humans more than anyone, she said when the others had left. What should we expect from peace negotiations? Extril considered carefully. They will be practical. They don't want to destroy us. They've had many opportunities to inflict much greater damage than they have. I believe they want stability, but on their terms. And what terms do you think they'll demand? Vex asked. They'll want us to acknowledge their right to defend themselves as they see fit without following our protocols. They'll want access to our technology, which is still superior to theirs in many areas. And they'll want security guarantees. Extril paused. But I think we should offer them something more. Something they might not ask for directly, which is a role as the Concordat's defenders, Extril said. We've detected signals from beyond the galactic rim for centuries, but never investigated. Whoever's out there might not follow our protocols. Either, the humans have proven they know how to fight enemies who don't play by the rules. Vex's crystalline form dimmed slightly as she processed this suggestion. You want to invite the very species that has defeated us to protect us? Yes, Extril said simply. Because next time the enemy might not be as restrained as the humans have been. 2 days later, Admiral Extril watched as his ship approached Earth's moon, where the peace conference would be held. Through the view screen, he could see the blue-green planet that had produced such a confounding species. They look so peaceful from here, Extra commented, standing beside him. That's the final lesson about humans, Extril replied. They create beauty and value peace. But when threatened, they fight with a ruthlessness we're only beginning to understand. As their ship entered lunar orbit, Extril wondered what other lessons humanity would teach the galaxy in the years to come. The peace conference on Luna was unlike any diplomatic meeting in Concordat history. The large dome structure built specifically for the occasion sat on the dusty surface of Earth's moon. Through its transparent ceiling, the blue planet hung, like a jewel against the black of space, a constant reminder to all participants of what was at stake. Inside, representatives from 17 contact species sat across from the human delegation. The room was designed to accommodate beings of vastly different sizes, shapes, and environmental needs. Some delegates floated in special tanks filled with their native atmospheres. Others wore environment suits to protect them from the oxygen-rich air that humans breathed naturally. President Olivia Martinez led the human delegation. She was a woman of medium height with short brown hair streaked with gray and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Before entering politics, she had served in Earth's space forces and understood the military realities that had brought them to this point. Elder HFY, the senior representative of the Concordat Council, began the proceedings. His translucent appendages trembled slightly as he spoke, a sign of emotional intensity for his species. The Galactic Concordat has existed for 12,000 years, he said, his words translated perfectly by the advanced systems installed in the room. In that time, we have fought thousands of wars among our member species, all conducted with honor, with minimal civilian casualties, with proportional response. Martinez nodded respectfully. On Earth, we too once fought wars according to strict rules. We lined up in bright colors on open fields. We agreed not to shoot officers. We prohibited certain weapons. Then you understand the importance of, Elder HFY began, hope evident in his voice. We abandoned those rules, Martinez interrupted gently but firmly, because they prolong suffering. When you fight to win decisively, quickly the war, and sooner, fewer die overall. Admiral Extrill, seated among the Concordat delegation, watched the human leader carefully. Unlike many of his colleagues, he had expected this response. Humans valued practical outcomes over tradition. What you call dishonorable, Martinez continued, we call efficient. Our different approach to warfare doesn't mean we value life less than you do. In fact, I would argue we value it more. We seek to end conflicts quickly to minimize total casualties, not to preserve a ritualized system that makes war predictable and endless. The Concordat representative shifted uncomfortably. Such direct speech was unusual in their diplomatic traditions. What terms do you propose? Asked Elder HFY, moving the discussion forward. Martinez gestured, and a human aide displayed a holographic document between the two delegations. Earth will join the Concordat as a full member, she explained. We will respect your customs, trade with your worlds, and share our technology. But we require a special exemption from the war protocols. Murmurs arose from the Concordat side. What Martinez proposed was unprecedented. You wish to maintain your methods of warfare? Elder HFY asked. Yes, Martinez said simply. We will not agree to fight according to rules that would ensure our defeat. But in exchange, we offer something valuable. She changed the holographic display to show star charts of the galaxy's outer regions. Humans will serve as the Concordat's defense force against external threats, she explained. Our ships will patrol the borders, our soldiers will respond to any incursions. Our methods will protect all Concordat species. Admiral Extrill leaned forward slightly. This was the very arrangement he had suggested to the Council. What external threats? Asked a reptilian delegate. The Concordat spans most of the known galaxy. Martinez touched another control, and the display changed to show a series of signal patterns. We've detected these transmissions from beyond the galactic rim, she explained. Your scientists have recorded similar signals for centuries, but never investigated. Someone else is out there. And based on the complexity of these signals, they're technologically advanced. She let that information sink in before continuing. Whoever they are, they might not play by your rules either. You'll need us when they arrive. The Concordat representatives conferred quietly among themselves. After several minutes, Elder HFY spoke again. Your terms are unusual, but recent events have shown us that perhaps our ways are not the only valid approach to conflict. He looked around at his fellow representatives. We will need to formalize this arrangement in detail, but in principle, we accept your proposal. The tension in the room eased noticeably. Staff from both delegations began to discuss the technical details of the agreement while the senior representatives watched. There is one question I would like to ask, Elder HFY said to Martinez when the others were busy. A personal curiosity, if you will permit it. Of course, Martinez replied. When did your species realize that war isn't supposed to be fair? He asked. Martina smiled, but there was a sadness in her eyes. About 5,000 years ago. We learned through countless conflicts among ourselves that those who fought according to rigid codes of honor often lost to those who fought to win by any means necessary. She looked up at the earth visible through the dome ceiling. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times because of war. We learned the hard way that the only good war is a short one. And the best war is one you never have to fight because your enemies know they can't win. Elder Xflix's appendages rippled in a gesture of understanding. And the galaxy realized this lesson too late, after encountering humanity. Not too late, Martinez corrected him. We're here, making peace. The lesson was learned without either of our civilizations being destroyed. That's a victory for both of us. As the formal treaty was prepared, Admiral Extrill approached Martinez. Your ships could have destroyed many more of our worlds, he said. Yet you targeted only military production facilities, and you took care to minimize casualties even there. Why show such restraint when victory was your only goal? Martinez considered the question carefully. Because the goal isn't just to win the war, it's to win the peace that follows. We wanted you as allies, not as conquered subjects. Extrill's scales shifted color slightly in what humans would later learn was a sign of respect. I think our species may have more to learn from each other than either of us realized. 3 days later, the treaty was signed. Earth became the 18th member species of the Galactic Concordat with special status as its primary defense force. Human ships would patrol the borders while Concordat species focused on science, art, and commerce. As President Martinez prepared to return to Earth, she looked out at the stars visible from the lunar surface. Somewhere out there, beyond the galaxy's edge, unknown beings were sending signals. Whether they would come in peace or war remained to be seen, but if war came, the galaxy would be ready. Because now they had humans who had never played fair in battle, and never would.